Today we have a very important story to discuss. Now, many of us must have heard about it, read about it in papers and on social media. The story is about an 81-year-old poet and activist, Varavara Rao, who's in jail at a time when his medical condition continues to deteriorate. Now, just to give some context, the activist was arrested by the Pune police in 2018 for his alleged involvement in a conspiracy to assassinate PM Modi, and this was then linked to the Bhima Koregaon case and the Elgar Parishad case. Now, one very important thing to note here is that Varavara Rao is not convicted in the case. He's still under trial. This means that the investigation is not complete yet. Now, to discuss this case in detail, we're in conversation with Senior Advocate Anand Grover, who's representing Varavara Rao in the case. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time and speaking to me.
Thank you very much. Good
So,
morning.
good morning, sir. I'd first like to begin by asking a very basic question. With the way the judicial proceedings are going in the case of Varavara Rao, do you think this entire process has become a punishment for him?
Well, it's not only in this case. This
Right.
happens in a lot of cases where the investigation takes a long time and where framing of charges and conducting of the trial itself takes a long time. So a person who's actually um, under trial has to undergo imprisonment if he's not granted or she's not granted bail.
Hmm.
That becomes a punishment. So that is one of the things that actually we are arguing, that at the moment he has been in prison for nearly just over 2 years,
Yes.
and likelihood of charges being framed is quite some time, and therefore that should not be the case.
Absolutely. So, a lot of reports regarding his medical conditions have surfaced online and in the newspapers as well. Could you take us through the medical conditions of the activist? How bad is it? And do you think he's been taken care of as of now?
Well, the thing with him is that he has large number of underlying medical conditions.
Right.
First of all, he is actually quite old, you know, and because he's old, whatever ailments he has, underlying conditions, those become even more exacerbated
Yes.
because of his age. Now, the argument that we have been making is that basically the hospital in Taloja jail doesn't have the requisite capacity
Okay.
and infrastructure facility to take care of him, because you require constant monitoring and you require the capacity to, and the constant monitoring requires certain laboratory investigations,
Hmm.
and those are not available. And therefore, in order that in the long run he stands trial, because it is in the interest of the prosecution as defense, as well as also defense, that he stands trial for what is charged. And he is ready to stand trial and he's sure he'll be acquitted because he hasn't done anything. And
Right.
more so because he has had similar cases like this. In 24 cases, he was tried and acquitted in all of them.
Right.
So that is his record, and he has stood trial for every one of them. So he is ready to stand trial. If the trial begins tomorrow, he can stand trial, but there is no likelihood of that happening. So therefore, what we are saying is his conditions, which actually include, which has been noted in Nanavati Hospital's records, hyponatremia, which is actually syndrome of a serum electrolyte imbalance,
Okay.
acute coronary syndrome because of the heart attack. He had COVID. Of course, COVID will
Yes.
not be an issue right now. Then he has other issues in terms of urinary tract infection, and because of the persistent hyponatremia, which actually, is the imbalance of serum electrolytes. There are
Right.
problems of him with urinary tract infection recurring. On top of that, because he's got brain atrophy, uh, neurological problems, cardiovascular compromise. All these things are a predisposing factor for him to worsen, his situation to worsen in the future. And now,
Hmm.
on top of it, because of all these issues, he needs, whenever, today he's perfectly all right, except for a few other issues, and these
Hmm.
keep constantly recurring. Like, for example,
True.
is a leakage in the valve. And because of these underlying conditions, these things will occur. And if the capacity doesn't exist in Taloja jail hospital, which they doesn't, because they don't have constant monitoring facilities like a laboratory, the staff does not there. And it's not the fault of the jail authorities, they just don't have the infrastructure. So,
Right.
and there's been a cycle. For example, when he was first admitted in Taloja jail, his condition worsened. He was taken to JJ. He recovered a bit. He went back to Taloja. He deteriorated. He came back to JJ and then to St. George's, then Nanavati. He was much better. Nanavati told Taloja to monitor. He went back there, but they could not monitor properly. And they had to outsource laboratory investigations. And ultimately, he deteriorated again and he came to Nanavati the third time. So there's been a cycle of this happening repeatedly. So there is a strong likelihood that he will not be able to uh, stay in Taloja jail and monitored properly, and he can deteriorate again. As contrasted with that, if he goes home where he's in Hyderabad, he can be taken care of, and all conditions which are required for an under trial to stand trial can be imposed, that he will not interfere with investigation, he'll be ready to attend the court, etc., etc. So that's a better thing, because ultimately both prosecution and defense are interested that he stands trial. So
Right.
there's no reason why he should go to Taloja and his situation deteriorates. In fact, if he dies there, it's not good for anybody, not for
True.
not
Yes.
for Varavara Rao, nor for the prosecution. So I cannot see any logic if if he can be better looked after. And please remember, because of his neurological symptoms, it's easier for him to cope with anything like that if he is with family members which provide a conducive environment.
Yes. Very true. So, one of the initial points that you made during the beginning of the interview was this is not the first case. And exactly, I'd like to ask several other social activists, have been arrested from Anand Tumre to Stan Swami to Sudha Bhardwaj. So, what exactly is the government trying to do here? Can we say there is an attempt to silence voices or dissenting voices, if I may say so?
Well, I'm not in all the other matters, but it
Right.
appears that it appears not only from this matter. I mean, the charge sheet that I've read is only based on electronic device evidence.
Yes.
And in fact, as far as Dr. Varavara Rao is concerned, there's no direct evidence in his electronic devices.
Hmm.
In his electronic devices, whatever is found is in somebody else's device.
Hmm.
Okay. For example, in the case of Dr. Varavara Rao, they allege that electronic evidence is found uh, in Rona Wilson, a co-accused computer. Now, when the matter was in the Supreme Court, there was a letter allegedly written by Sudha Bhardwaj, who was a co-accused. She is not from Maharashtra, but the language of the letter indicated, and I argued this before that bench, that it is written by a person in Hindi who is from Maharashtra, because of the language, the way it was
Hmm.
written.
Hmm.
And in fact, Justice Chandrachud agreed with me.
Hmm.
So, in fact, that indicated that these documents are not genuine, even if they are electronic evidence.
Hmm.
So, of course, that issue arises. But in any event, the way the government seems to be going after people is that, you look at the farmers' protests. What's the need for slapping such sedition charges against
Yes.
journalists?
Yeah.
There's no basis for it, according to me. Or in the Citizens Amendment Act, the type of uh, charges that are levied on UAPA, they're also, the way it's being done, I don't think it will stand and withstand the scrutiny of courts ultimately. But because people have to stand trial as under trials, as you mentioned earlier, this becomes a punishment in itself, which is a very
Absolutely.
serious thing.
Yes.
And you can't, the Supreme Court has said in repeated cases that a person who's inside jail as an under trial, after the charge sheet has been filed, there's no reason for that person unless you can show that person will actually violate the conditions on bail.
Yes.
And in
Yes.
this case, 24 trials, all acquittals, there's no basis for it. And what can he do? He's 82-year-old, he can't even walk properly. How can he, you know, tamper with witnesses? And everything is already with them.
Hmm.
So, but this is the problem. If the Supreme Court says that if person has to be in jail as an under trial, and if it's ultimately acquitted, you cannot bring that back. And the jurisprudence on this score is not very helpful to an under trial. They can't seek compensation for wrongfully being inside at the under trial stage.
Yes.
So it's not a very good thing in terms of the constitutional position on liberty. According to me, it's grossly unjust ultimately. And suppose in this case a person dies, what are you going to do? Who's going to be accountable for it? And that's what the judges have been asking. What happens if something goes wrong?
Absolutely, sir. So, how do you think the courts or the Indian judiciary has been taking care of human rights violations? Because when we look in the case of Stan Swami, he was not given a sipper, and then even in the case of Varavara Rao, his health conditions continued to deteriorate. He was made to sleep on a bed which was wet with urine. How do you think the Indian judiciary is going to take care of it now that it has said that these things
No,
will be
I
taken
don't
care
know
of?
about him sleeping on a bed, but when he was in JJ hospital, when my
Hmm.
family visited him,
Hmm.
he was found in a pool of urine and feces. And
Yes.
that indicated to me that the facilities are not up to the mark. It's not the competence of doctors or
Hmm.
nurses. In
Absolutely.
fact, I know that from HIV, the competence of the healthcare staff is excellent, but they're just overworked. They don't have the wherewithal, the numbers to cater for the
True.
number of patients who are coming. So they don't get attention. It's nothing to do with the competence. They're much better than private hospital doctors. I know that for a fact. If I were HIV positive, I would rather go to a public sector hospital, outpatients department, because they have now vast body of experience and
True.
skills to deal with them.
Hmm.
And even for TB, for instance, I know that
Hmm.
because I work on those areas. But wait, and there, of course, there you don't have to be inpatient and HIV. But if you're inpatient, the numbers of patients who are there, the healthcare staff is not adequate in numbers to take care of the people. That's why you have these kind of situations,
Very
and
true.
therefore it will not be proper, in my opinion, to rely on that.
Very true, sir. Talking about the role of the National Investigation Agency, the NIA has constantly said that Varavara Rao is taking undue advantage of his health conditions. What do you have to say about that?
I don't know whether they've said it or not, but according to me, if that is they have not said that in the court,
Hmm.
but they have basically they're arguing the legal point that you can't look at the health conditions. The health conditions are his health condition is now improved, so he should go to JJ hospital. So we have argued that JJ hospital is only for inpatient. He's not a person who requires inpatient treatment now. The
Hmm.
point is, in the future, he will not be in a he'll be in a position where the Loja Jain Hospital will not be able to take care of him. That's what we are arguing. I cannot comment on a lot of other things because I have to stick by the brief I have as a
Right,
counsel.
sir. Yes, absolutely. So, in the end, what do you think the role of the media has been? Because in India, we say one is innocent until proven guilty, but a lot of media houses, a lot of mainstream media have already labeled Varavara Rao as the accused. How do you think is this
That is
going?
happening in so many cases. Take
Absolutely.
Riya Chakraborty's case.
Yes.
In my opinion, the media should be very clear. We can't comment on cases at all, whether the innocence or guilt. Unfortunately, we have allowed the media to become courts and trying people, and that's not a proper thing to do. In fact, a person is presumed to be innocent, and that's how they should treat, even the media should treat them. They can look at the thing, but they can't comment. And actually, when you start making allegations and actually saying that a person is guilty when nothing has happened, only an investigation is going on, is very unjust to the person who's being investigated. And
Right.
the role on that in terms of economics, health, is grossly, it's very gross in the sense that you can actually have a mental breakdown. You can
Right.
lose your job.
Yes.
So you have to think of those consequences. Unfortunately, a section of the media doesn't seem to look at that, and they don't realize it can happen to them. You know,
Yes.
and when it happens to them, they would realize this is not a fair game. It's very
Absolutely.
unfortunate, but unfortunately, it's happening that the section of the media is becoming the prosecution, the court, and the jury at the same time, which is totally
Absolutely.
unjust.
Very true, sir. I'd again like to thank you for taking our time and taking us through all the important points of this case. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.